They say old soldiers never die, they just fade away. But this week we're looking at the history of one old Autobot soldier who's refused to do either. These are the basics on KUP. The character of KUP was created for 1986's The Transformers the Movie. He was initially conceived by writer Ron Friedman with the alternate mode of a Sherman tank, and so was named Tanker. But as the movie's development continued, and its setting was advanced to the then future year of 2005, he wound up being reimagined as a futuristic pickup truck, from which his new name was derived. Pick-up, you get it? Like most of the film's new cast members, KUP was created for animation first by character designer Floro Deary, whose artwork was then used as the basis for the toy, which was the opposite of how Transformers were normally created at the time, as the toy usually came first. However, animation studio Toei would further modify Deary's design after production on the toy began, resulting in the figure looking somewhat different to KUP's finalized appearance in animation. Voiced in the movie by celebrity performer Lionel Stander, KUP was a curmudgeonly old Autobot who had lived a long life of adventure across the galaxy, and was always keen to share the wisdom of his experience with the younger generation, usually by telling a tall tale of one of his past exploits. He served as mentor to the young Autobot Hot Rod, determined to teach the hot-headed punk a thing or two on adventures that took them from Earth to standing trial on the watery world of the alien Quintessons.
Table rubbing, young punk. I'll straighten you out yet.
After the film, KUP continued to appear as a main cast member in the third season of the Transformers cartoon, in a new role as Cybertron's head of security, his voice now provided by series regular John Stevenson.
Did I ever tell you about the time I was flying in this busted shuttle named Jonagar?
The showcase episode, Chaos, revealed a dark secret from KUP's past, the one story he didn't like to tell. As a young bot, he had encountered the terrible monster, Chaos, and had run away, leaving his companions behind. The episode saw KUP put this old shame to rest, as he returned to confront Chaos and end his threat for good. In 1987, KUP's toy was re-released as a Target Master, a kind of Transformer who came with a partner minifigure that transformed into a gun for them to wield. KUP's partner was a tiny alien from the planet Nebulos, a retired sportsman named Recoil. The story of how KUP became a Target Master was told in the cartoon's three-part finale, The Rebirth, in which he was part of a group of Autobots blasted across the galaxy to Nebulos by a plasma energy explosion, where they joined forces with a team of Nebulan rebels to defeat the planet's evil rulers and their Decepticon allies. However, KUP's Target Master toy wasn't released in Japan, and The Rebirth wasn't aired there. Instead, a Japanese original sequel series was produced, The Headmasters, which quickly phased KUP out, sending him off on a quest with Blur and Rodimus Prime to search for a new planet the Transformers could call home after Cybertron was destroyed by the Decepticons. KUP also appeared in the Transformers comic published in the United Kingdom by Marvel, which, like the toy, also based his appearance on Floro Deary's earlier designs. The comic depicted KUP as a time traveller who, on several occasions, came back from the future era seen in the movie to help stop Decepticon leader Galvatron from conquering the past. A spotlight story in issue number 132 fleshed out KUP's backstory, revealing that once the old soldier had been forced to retire from active duty when he began to suffer from combat fatigue. He had spent his days roaming the galaxy in misery until he crossed paths with Hot Rod, whose youthful heroism lit a fire in KUP that gave him the strength of will to overcome his condition and return to action to save Hot Rod from hostile aliens. It wasn't until the release of his Target Master toy that KUP was added to the cast of Marvel's American comic book, in which his present-day self appeared as part of a crew of Autobots who acquired Nebulan partners when they relocated to the planet in an effort to escape the war. Though KUP's toy was discontinued in 1988, he remained part of the comics cast until its end in 1991, in a notable supporting role as Optimus Prime's short-tempered head of security, dissatisfied with Prime's soft-hearted command decisions. And he would even show up regularly in the comic's 1993 sequel series, Transformers Generation 2. In the 21st century, it's comics that have been the media in which KUP has had his most prominent appearances, especially those from IDW Publishing. KUP was introduced into IDW's universe in his own self-titled Spotlight one-shot in 2007, a horror story in which he was marooned on an alien world and hunted by monsters. Unaware that his mind had been damaged by the planet's radioactive crystals, and that the monsters were really Autobots trying to come to his rescue. Eventually saved and healed thanks to the efforts of his old pupil Springer, KUP was reintroduced as a hard-bitten squad leader in 2008's All Hail Megatron, and went on to serve as a major recurring player on and off for the next decade of comics, on many adventures across Earth, Cybertron, and even other dimensions that included joining up with the Autobot commando unit, the Wreckers, for several deadly missions, and partnering with British superhero Action Man and other human allies in the Showcase miniseries Revolutionaries, before his story finally reached an end when he was killed by Viralina, an evil magic-wielding knight from the planet Prismos. IDW's comics remain the biggest role KUP has had since the 80s, and several notable concepts that they introduced have carried over to other depictions of the character, including his fondness for chomping on a cigar and his membership in the Wreckers, an idea that was even incorporated into the original Marvel Comics universe in the 2012 Marvel sequel series, Regeneration 1. Outside of comics, though, KUP's media appearances have been pretty sparse, with no cartoon roles for over 30 years. A Transformers animated version of the character was designed with thought towards featuring him in that series, but he didn't make it in, and was included only in the show's Allspark Almanac guidebook. Now, the closest KUP got to appearing on TV during this time was 2005's Transformers Cybertron, in which the character of Breakdown was designed as a sort of homage to him. Also an elderly bot full of advice for the younger generation, Breakdown's alternate mode was designed to resemble KUP's Cybertronian mode from the 2002 Dreamwave Productions comic The War Within. And in 2006, a recolor of Breakdown's toy was released in KUP-inspired colours. The first true new KUP toy since the 80s was released as an exclusive at the official convention BotCon in 2009, a retool and recolor of Cybertron Red Alert, which transformed into an emergency sedan. As seen in both the convention's exclusive comic book and further comics from the Transformers Collectors Club, the toy represented KUP in his younger days, when he was a junior member of the Autobot Elite Guard back during the golden age of Cybertron. KUP was at last brought back to toy store shelves in 2011, with a new figure in the Generations toy line that converted into a regular old pickup truck rather than a futuristic one. A Transformers Prime version of KUP followed in 2013, also with a modern pickup mode. This one a recolor of a design created for KUP's fellow Autobot old-timer, Ironhide. This version of KUP enjoyed a prominent appearance in the tie-in novel Retribution, in which he was brainwashed by the Quintessons into testifying against Optimus Prime in one of the aliens' trials. In 2017, a new toy of KUP with his original futuristic pickup form was released in the Titans Return line. Like all figures in this series, the toy's head could disconnect and transform into a small Titan Master robot named Flintlock. This KUP was also released in Japan as part of the Legends toy line, with a more cartoon-accurate paint job and a new version of his classic Target Master partner. The toy earned KUP an appearance in the tie-in Legends manga, which continued the Japanese version of his story after the events of the Headmasters anime, reinventing his Target Master partner for Japanese continuity. Here, he was bonded not to the Nebulan Recoil, but the human Sue Fairborn, daughter of the Autobots' old ally, Marissa Fairborn. 2020 saw KUP finally make a full return to TV screens in Transformers Cyberverse. Ever the storyteller, he served as the narrator for the 4-part episode, The End of the Universe, recounting the tale of the Transformers' great battle to stop a Quintesson-powered Starscream from destroying the universe itself. Now, sadly, the only toy of Cyberverse KUP was a blind-bagged tiny turbo changer. However, the same year, a new toy of KUP based directly on his appearance in the original film and cartoon was released in the Studio Series toy line. That's the most recent big event in the ongoing story of KUP, but knowing him, he'll be back for another adventure and another tall tale before long. In the meantime, The Basics will continue to do its best with every new episode to remind everyone of KUP's core belief that the past is the greatest teacher. And those are the basics on KUP. Which of his many stories is your favourite? Let me know in the comments. For more tales from Transformers history, maybe take a moment to subscribe and check out my other videos. Plus, if you support the show on Patreon, you'll get early access to every new episode.